Okay, hi everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to the second B.A.R Talks, Pride Images Then and Now with Gooch, Jane Philomen-Cleland, and Ron Williams.
In Palm Springs.
Palm Springs. Everyone else, I think, is in San Francisco. What we're going to do is have a chat with these three prolific photographers and talk about their work with the Bay Area Reporter, as well as their early interest in photography and other interests. But we wanted to focus specifically on Pride images over the years through the earliest days of the newspaper, of the Bay Area Reporter, up until, well, last year. So we wanted to start, just everyone give me a little intro of yourselves and tell us about your work. Ron, go ahead.
I worked as a freelance photographer for the Bay Area Reporter in '74, and I worked with Bob Ross's really good friend Henry Lelou, and they said I was basically knew Henry from the photo center up on Scott and DuBose, and so I was like starting out trying to be in the advertising business. And they gave me a camera, and I went and photographed Harvey Milk at the bus police thing, so I did one of my first photos was published that year, and then the really good photo that I did was the Pride photo. Do you want me to show those now? Or?
Let's just do brief little things, and then we can come back to you.
I worked as a freelancer as a graphic designer, photographer, and typesetter for 74, 75, 76, and I left in 1977 and went up to Sonoma County. I got a job at Sonoma Vineyards working in the wine industry. So it was a real premium job. So I did move up there. And it was probably one of the best choices of my lifetime, but there I was, and it was successful up there. But all of that early stuff that I shot for the B.A.R, I lost in the flood up there.
Oh.
So a lot of the stuff that I have photographed, I'm negatives everything, and so a lot of the stuff I had photographed for the B.A.R only exists in the archive, and I wasn't really able to look at the archive until when was it put up? 2 years ago, 2 years.
Yeah.
So, and I was reunited with the Doris shot.
Right.
And some other people that, oh yeah, I remember that. And, he's supposedly still alive, I think. And then I came back to San Francisco in the early '80s, and I continued my photography then, but not as an official document photographer, but I kept doing it. So I did it mostly as just a hobbyist, and not necessarily as a gun for hire, but I was working at that time in the corporate world. So I was working at Chevron downtown in their graphic arts department. So I was living a totally different life than I had lived in the early days of the Bay Area Reporter. And, so here I am, 50 years later, retired and living in Palm Springs now. And so I'm still active down here. I'm doing a few shows, but I'll tell you, life is catching up with me. I don't have that go get 'em anymore to run out there and be in the middle of a parade. I loved photographing parades during the day, but you have to be an athlete, an agile athlete, jumping around.
But you have self-published 2 or 3 photography books of various.
Oh yeah, I do. I have.
Show us the covers, and then we'll get back to those.
2 books. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Yes.
Yeah, this is 10 years, 3 decades of San Francisco Pride photography, and it starts in 1980 in a lot of black and white. I always worked in 2 1/4 medium format stuff. And in those days, I developed all my old film, made my own prints, and did all that. And it wasn't until probably, and then my other book I recently did was the Palm Springs Pride book,
Right.
which covers about 10 years of Pride parades, because I used to come down here a lot during those periods. But you were asking about earlier, I switched over to digital kind of a little different way. I had so many negatives, I started digitizing them, and in the early days. And then I realized that some of these cameras that people were getting were crap. I mean, they didn't really come out with. Does anybody remember the Mavica? the Mavica camera? Yeah, it did like a 640 by some small resolution camera. And so then I got one of the first Canons that came out that produced a decent raw image. And I think that was in probably 96 or 97. And then I eventually switched over completely. And now I use a Canon 5D Mark IV, which is a real high, with some good lenses. And I do some really good work.
Yeah, well, we love the historic stuff.
Say again?
We love the historic stuff, and we'll get to those as well as the newer material. Let's go to Jane. Jane, can you talk about when you started with the B.A.R. and what you did, how you got into photography?
Yeah, I started at the B.A.R. in '88, more or less, and I've published most weeks since then. Not during the pandemic. I haven't, only file photos, but I switched over to digital in 2006 because, like you, Ron, I couldn't stand the crappy digital cameras that they had. They'd show you pictures in this shop and they'd say, "Can you pick out which one is digital?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's that one. It's horrible." And they're like, "Rats."
Yeah, that's kind of the way it was.
Yeah, but I weep for your flood losses. That's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear about things being destroyed in the flood.
Yeah, the Russian River.
Yeah. I started out photography when I was 8. My father's a photographer, my parents are activists, and I started taking pictures at events as a little kid and did all the high school newspaper pictures, and then I went to art school for a while. I got a BA from Antioch College, and I majored in media. And then I also did 2 years of straight art school and doing mostly photography.
And when you started doing stuff for the B.A.R., was Mike Salinas the editor then, and it was mostly news?
No, it was before Mike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's way before Mike.
Who was?
Who was
the editor?
I can see him perfectly. He was
Paul Lorch? No, that's the 70s.
He was Southern accent, short guy.
Anyway, we will get to your photos and showcase some of them. I want to get over to Gooch. Gooch, you've been 5 years, 6 years? How long in San Francisco?
No, I've been living here 13 years.
Oh, okay.
And with you, coming up to about 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tempest Fugit.
Yes. So I kind of found you because you were posting photos of cookie dough.
Oh, yeah.
And Cookie was sharing them from the Monster Show, which is where I got my break here in the city.
You said, "Why aren't you paying me?"
And I contacted you and I said, "Well, if you like me so much, why don't you start paying me?
Give me some money."
Yeah.
Right.
So and here I am all these years later. So thank you. Yeah, same as Jane. I had a camera in my hand at 8 years old. How funny! I didn't know that, Jane. So why would I? But there you go. So 8 years old, my father was a keen amateur, and I think he had upgraded the camera, and he gave me a very good Canon. I can't remember the model. Sorry. And off I went, and he supplied me with film and have stuff developed for me, and really I haven't stopped. So it's quite a long time. I'm best known for nightlife here in the city. I work with many different entertainment organizations and clubs and bars, but I'm also more serious as well with my political work. I cover a lot of the events, a lot of the rallies, a lot of the campaigns. I worked a lot. One of my busiest years was through the pandemic last year. I just kept busy and got involved with Black Lives Matter, Black Trans Lives Matter. And I also took on a drone. So that was very...
That's right.
That was a good fun...
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of terrifying, actually, to tell you the truth. But that was because I was taken on by Patrick Carney last year as the photographer for the Pink Triangle. And last year was the first year they'd illuminated it, and they needed some aerial footage. So that was how I got involved with the drone. And there was a lot of quick learning. But that's enough about the drone. I'm mostly known as a stills photographer here in the city with my LGBT community. So.
Do you have an idea of how many pictures you've taken, like just at Oasis or any one venue, or just at the Edge? I mean, there's so many thousands, and every time you send me, you send me a whole album of photos, and it's so hard to choose because usually I can just pick one.
Yeah.
How many photos have you taken in, say, just a year or whatever? Do you have any idea?
Well, I worked out with my husband here that I take somewhere in the region of, it's going to sound insane, but somewhere before COVID, around 800,000 photos a year. So I'm working working 5 nights a week. Yeah. But don't forget, I mean, out of that, as the other photographers will know, you go through 10 to get that perfect one, and it isn't machine gun shooting. It's just you're shooting with your finger.
Right.
You're choosing to shoot that shot. But the person maybe has blinked, or there's something not quite right. It's not as obvious as a blink. It's just it's a nuance. And then the 10th photo, there's something magical happens. It's just something happens. The lighting, it's just gorgeous. So my hard drives are many and full, and you guys just get to see a fraction of the best of the best. So that I think is the best anyway. But yeah, I shoot a lot.
Yeah, the reason I'm fascinated with this is, of course, I also started photography in junior high school. We had a camera club. We had a dark room. I learned how to develop film. I was on the yearbook and the newspaper. I was a total camera nerd. I had a Canon SL or something. And I wish I still had it because it's better than any digital camera I've ever owned afterwards. But I was always fascinated with the smell of photo flow, about developing the film just right, having a whole roll of film just die and be overexposed. To digital, and that's why I respect and love you guys. But let's get to the photos. I want to start. This is why I love Ron so much. Probably the most famous early 70s photo on the B.A.R. Ron, if you can do a little slideshow, I will share your screen. I hope it works, and then we can all see the glory of. This is so famous. Doris 10 Empress riding a rented elephant down Polk Street in the Gay Freedom Day Parade and Fair of 1975. Take it away, Ron.
Well, yeah, the interesting part about that particular photograph is we'd been trying to find her in the parade, and once I found her, she was like all totally freaked out and like, "Get me off this thing," And I didn't think she rode it much further past that point. Because the trainers or the handlers, they were having, I think the elephant was just as upset as she was. But anyway, it turned out to be a real iconic photo, and I love it, and it's been a great fact that people are finally starting to see that photo after 50 years. It's been buried in the archive. And anyway, during those times, we were all so innocent and we were just experimenting, and creativity was boundless, and Pride was that magic moment when the LGBT community, as I look at it, is a ubiquitous global family, and then Pride is our expression of diversity,
right.
And that is our strength. So that's my little preach for today. But these are a little these are jumping up to 1980. These were not anything that was published, but they got out of order. I'm sorry, but if I go to the next one. One of my real things in life was to be a product photographer. And the obelisk, I don't know if any of you remember the obelisk on Castro Street in the early 70s. They used to buy the back page sometimes of the Bay Area Reporter, and I did a lot of photography for Bob in those days in some of his shots. Here. This was another shot I did when Doris actually was crowned. That was probably in January. Is another shot I did, and I went to the coronation, which was at the palace, and it was quite the do. I don't know. They spent a lot of money on that stuff in those days. They, just endless budgets for everything. And here's okay. Then another one.
Oh, the Acme Man! Oh my
the
God!
Acme Man, the Acme Man shot. Yeah.
The sideburns, the porn stash, everything. He's everything.
Yeah, he was cool. He was very cool, and he was very nice too. He wasn't, the least bit, snobbish or anything. He was a real sweetheart. And
so let me interrupt. So this was a beer company called Acme, which was kind of a gay beer.
Right. Well, yeah, Acme Beer had been a beer I remember it as a kid in the 40s.
Oh.
I was born in San Francisco, so I remember it, and then it went away. And then one of the liquor distributors bought out the name and tried to bring it back.
Okay.
And, get it to sell it in the bars.
Yeah.
And I think it had some limited success.
Okay.
But they did do some advertising. I think if you look, you'll see some back covers back in the 70s, 74, 75. You'll see some ads from Acme Beer. Then another one.
The cowboy pageant. Yeah, I did a little
right. Now this was Sister Ed. I don't know. This was Sister Ed, and your Sister Ed used to do Lily Tomlin impersonations, right? Okay. Does anybody remember the old bakery cafe on Castro? This is going way back. This is 70, maybe 77, 76, 77. Anyway, he was doing Lily Tomlin impersonations, not in this particular photo, but it's at a party I had been to. And up on the back stairs, hanging out up there, was Lily watching him. He didn't even know it.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of those kind of stories around. Let me just move on a little more here. Let's see. These kind of got out of sequence. I really apologize. So anyway,
slow down a bit.
These are from the 80s.
Okay.
From 1980, and that was when the sisters that was after, I think they'd been around for like a year. So they were a relatively new group, and everyone just loved them. Now this is an interesting shot because in 1980 there weren't a lot of there weren't a lot of transsexuals that were would march on their own, and this particular the person that was marching, and I thought it was just the photo just shows the disdain. Maybe it's not the best photo to show, but it's kind of interesting to how people thought, 50 years ago, and how much things have changed, because that diversity, these people are the ones that really insisted on us building a diverse group of people. And of course, I brought this out because of all of the controversy around the kink crowd, and so I thought this might be interesting because this is also from 1980. Right. And at that particular thing, I love the Leather Menace.
Leather Menace,
she's really good. Then the Gayman's Chorus. which, of course, a lot of those people are no longer with us, and unfortunately. And Operation Concern. Now, this is a very interesting photograph because Operation Concern was a group that for counseling, for mental health counseling for gays, and it was all self-supported and funded. And so this was another time when we as a group and as a culture have always tried to take care of ourselves, and I think this is a good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
That effort, with counseling. And I don't remember if anybody remembers the Skate Queen. Years ago, this probably in the early 80s, this guy used to skate around the parking or the gas station at Castro and Market. He'd skate around forever, and finally, he'd always be in the parade, and we just called him the Skate Queen. I don't ever know whatever happened to him or who he is, but it was just kind of fun. And of course, Worn Out West. This was when they first started, and I think their first store was down on Howard Street, 1156 Howard. I think it was their first store, which didn't last long, and then they moved up to Castro, where they were for years and years and years. Beyond that, now we're jumping up to 1989, and I thought it was great to have our mayor at the time, Jim. This is the guy, the gentleman in the blue sweater, is that's Jim. Oh God, I've forgotten his name. You guys are going to have to forgive me. My memory is lax. That's Mayor. Can you?
Alioto.
Huh?
Alioto.
No, that's not Alioto.
No.
That's
The Greek guy.
yeah, the guy in the brown suit. Oh God, I knew my memory would give out on me. Anyway, the guy in the blue sweater, it was Jim Rivaldo, I think, and he was a good friend of Harvey Milk's, and he was one of the early activists with the Democratic Club. So anyway,
sorry,
I'll move along here if we could. This was
just a few more, Ron. Then we got to move to Jane.
Okay, so this was the year, and I could be wrong with this, that the Dykes and Bikes had their first parade. The first year they headed the parade, and I believe it was in '89, and I believe it was the year that the parade went from the Castro down to Civic Center, or some say the Embarcadero, but we'll argue that later. And then, of course, our favorite Jose in front of the corral. I don't know anybody remembers
Jose Sarria, Empress 1.
Yeah, and that's it. There's a departing shot for now.
That's when it went down. That's when it went east towards the
it went from the Castro.
Wow,
and that's '89. So.
Well, let me put you on pause, Ron, and hopefully keep your slideshow where it is.
Okay.
And get back to you. I'm going to go to us 4, and now I'm going to show Jane's photos because we have a little technical snafu. So I actually have Jane's photos, and I'm going to go to show my own screen, and hopefully we're going to be able to see my stuff. Share screen. Don't show this again. Remember this. Why did that happen? StreamYard. Entire screen, allow, and what is that? So I will do quick look, open with preview. Sorry for this technical glitch. I didn't have these things together. Quick look. Okay. So Jane, can you talk a little bit about this photo?
Can you make it without all the other stuff?
No.
Okay. Well, this is Sunny, who was the head of the Dykes on Bikes, and this is at the beginning of the parade. I arranged my parade photos basically in the order that more or less that the parade goes. So now it starts with Dykes on Bikes, and this is Sunny, who always kicked it off. And she passed away recently. But the undisputed woman in charge.
Really?
Yeah.
A long time leader of the Dykes on Bikes?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Let's go to here.
So getting ready to leave. The march is starting down at the bottom of Market by the Embarcadero, and just people line up, an hour or two beforehand and zhuzh up. So that's what this is.
In the lovely rearview mirror.
Yes.
This is pretty fabulous.
Yeah. So this is about maybe 7 years ago. I don't remember which justice issue we have so many, whether this was I think this might have been marriage equality, but it might have been another Supreme Court thing.
So they always come down around Pride. Why is that?
Because it's the end of the court's session.
Oh, that's right.
So here's a good one for all time, certainly very relevant now. Dykes Against Fascism.
Misspelled, but we appreciate the intent.
Hey.
It's actually
you know what Mark Twain said. He has no respect for someone who can find only one way to spell.
Right.
I didn't. Here's the Rosie the Riveters on scooters. I just love this.
It's fantastic.
I didn't go necessarily. Many of the pictures appeared in the B.A.R, but many of them did not, because when you put a lot of material into a picture and it's small, it's hard for people to read it. Like, it's not visually legible. So since we're illuminated here on our screens, I went for a little more complex. And just things that I like that don't necessarily get seen. So
how did you get this photo? Were you on one of those platforms when the train stops in the middle of the street? How did you get this angle?
Yes, that's exactly how I got it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I camp a bus loading zone early. One of my favorite things is, how there's gaps in the parade, and so I walked the parade probably 4 times, up and down and up and down, and look for people on the sidelines that are making things great
or taking clothes off.
Right. This is before the parade started, but I have a great appreciation for people who slow down there, Jim, who put something together as a group.
Right.
The 3 guys, these 2 guys. It's an endless thing. I remember once we had 5 Barbies. I couldn't find it. It's one of my favorites. Okay, the next. And there were several angels. I just love the way this guy has reached down to caress this guy on the sidelines there.
Yeah, that's the moment.
Yeah. That is the moment.
This is pretty fabulous too.
Yeah. There's not too many of these people, but they're usually amazing. They're these solo people. They just appear and they're all by themselves, and they're just so much fun.
Now, did you adjust the color in this a bit?
Well, it's a sunny day, so yeah, I'm sure I had to adjust things.
This is terrific.
I could just shoot cheer all day long, every day. They're my favorite. They're so uplifting, literally and figuratively, and I'm a huge fan of theirs.
And speaking of uplifting,
yes,
that is just astounding. I love that.
I called those people the Flyers.
Yes, that's what they're called.
Oh, well, there you go.
And he's actually Gappa royalty. The guy in flight is Gappa royalty. He was Mr. Gappa 2 years ago. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. And here's the late Felicia Flames in the middle, in the center.
Yep. So the next section is a couple of grand marshals. So Felicia. And
she's in the FX Pride documentary series in the third episode, I think, the trans episode. That was her last recorded interview, I think.
wow.
So if you have Hulu or FX, go watch that and you can see Felicia. This is amazing.
Yeah, I really love the cultural things that people of different nationalities, you know, come in traditional dress, and this is I think this is Cambodia.
Wow. But just that you got that arch, that moment.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And here's a young great costume maker, and I was just the best plastic costume ever. And then later on, I predict that his next costume will look something like this.
That's great. Great punchline. Yeah. That's amazing too. She looks like a real performer.
Yeah. So now I've transitioned over to the stage, and usually in the morning, the stage starts out with civic people. This is oh, I'm not good at hierarchical titles.
Isn't she a reverend at Grace Cathedral?
She's not a reverend. She's a bishop.
Bishop.
Bishop Yvette Flunders. And she was addressing the crowd, and always a sharp dresser.
Yes, he did a chat 2 weeks ago at Grace Cathedral. That's where I thought that I put in the listing. So I'm scrolling down and I'm not seeing another. Oh, wait, we have to go back. Wait, sorry, I lost the moment.
It's an imperfect technology.
Truly. Now, who is this winning? It's the gay guy who worked for the basketball team.
He's the executive director
okay.
of the Warriors, and when the Warriors won the championship, he came and brought the actual title.
That's right.
And I thought, who else besides us got to have that thrill? San Francisco only.
Right.
So yeah, he came a couple of years and brought a couple of trophies and was always very gracious backstage for basketball fans who wanted to get their picture taken with him and the trophy.
Yeah. So many people in the audiences too. And there's the ubiquitous Sister Roma.
Sister Roma, one of the greatest MCs that our community has ever raised. Roma's been an MC on the main stage for 20 years at least.
Really? Wow. I love how you got that one glistening moment in her necklace.
Yeah. She's glistening.
Did you crop and burn? Did you crop and burn old-fashioned style around the edges, or is that just the shadows?
No, that's where people were closing in, and I just, peeked in between.
That's brilliant. So, artistry. Margaret Cho.
Another MC at the time. We have so many great MCs. I didn't pull out everybody, but I wanted to show what it looks like from the stage.
Yeah, that's great. And you've been one of the official Pride photographers for several years, right?
Yes. Well, back to the days of Teddy Witherington.
Wow. Okay. The 90s.
Yeah.
And this is, of course, Lady Gaga in 2004, I think.
I think that's right. Gaga, right as she was starting to have a presence on pop radio.
Oh yeah, she just broke like the week after. She just exploded with the fame.
Yeah. I
can't believe I passed on getting a backstage pass that year. Oh well.
Well, don't worry about it because you wouldn't have been able to get anywhere near her. She came in with an armed battalion and made a tunnel.
Yeah, but I didn't even know who she was that year. I was so
right
dumb.
To the trailer.
Would you like an interview with Lady Gaga? Who's that? No, sorry. Who's this? Is this a burlesque show? I would guess.
Yeah, this is burlesque. Doing burlesque, and then the MC, whose name I'm blanking on, joined in.
Right.
This is taiko drumming.
Taiko drumming by Oh God, they're from Dance Mission Theater.
The Dance Brigade.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry,
The
how
Dance
could I forget?
Yeah.
There's some foamy vaginas.
Yeah, this is Dancing Vulvas. I thought that was really great. Not the first time I've seen Dancing Vulvas on the main stage.
Oh, so
They
it's
were
not
particularly good.
Okay. Let me try one, get through to another photo. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry. There's Lady Bunny.
Okay.
She's having a wig attack. The reason some of these aren't loading is I still don't have the low res version. That's the problem.
I can never resist a hair swing.
This was not me. It's someone else.
This is the blonde was performing on the stage and her sister was in the audience. And
Oh, I see.
You can see they opened the fence there and let her come out, and she jumped off the stage and down into the pit. And just kind of a moment.
A band, I can't remember the name. And someone got married or represented. It was the
it was interesting. There's the main stage has recently had a lot of sort of theatrical. There's a singer with a lot of dancers or performers, and it's an interesting sort of mush of singing and theater. There's usually, like, this is another woman who did a Black Lives Matter program and had all of these visuals behind, not only say their names, but other stuff.
That's great.
This is a dance company from Oakland, and they also have a visual component to their dance program. And they do a lot of death drops.
Ouch. My knees hurt just looking at it. That's somebody famous?
This is our stage manager.
Oh, okay.
Jen, and with Lady Gandhi. And this is actors and dancers, models, I guess, piling up down the back ramp to get on stage.
Right. That's where you
get a lot of coming and going.
Oh my.
And fabulous costumes.
That is great. Let me put this on hold, and I want to switch to Gooch, give him some airtime. Sorry to keep you waiting, dear. I'm going to add you to the stream. Oops. Remove. Do everybody. So Gareth, tell us. Oh, Yvette Flunder. Yes. Thank you, Bill Wilson. Love the diamond reflection. Thank you, Bill F. Wilson. He's another prolific photographer who does a lot of politicians and public events. So Gooch, let's shine on.
Hey.
Sorry to you're like that. You're like the after Debbie Reynolds hogs the time on the Tonight Show. You're the comic. You get Pee-wee Herman later. But let's go full on Gooch, because we've worked together on so many issues. When Bartab sprang to life, when we were doing Nightlife, and I hope we're doing it again. But you have Pride images galore as well, right?
I do. Can you see what I'm seeing on my screen?
I'm going to add you to the screen, and then we're going full screen. Yeah.
Great.
So it's not even, our heads aren't showing. We're seeing the queens on the motorcycles.
You're seeing the blonde guy on the motorbike?
We are. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. This is just one of my favorite images from Pride. It's so obviously a guy who's in a dress. It is not a trans person. It is definitely a dude dressed as a woman that day, and it's just such an exuberant photo. I just love I flipped it into black and white. A timeless quality. The excitement of everybody around them, and then him staring straight at me. It's a very powerful image for me. Secondly, here we have the wonderful Dykes on Bikes. Again, as Jane said, I tend to I'm normally at the Alice B. Toklas breakfast, and so we kind of fall out of there into the Dykes on Bikes. And this is just a lovely shot of a very, very happy woman in a police garb, very sexy and very happy, and I love it.
But you also give it a reference with the depth of field, and the Embarcadero Tower really gives it a sense of, and the San Francisco logo backwards. It's not just people on motorcycles. That's amazing. All three of you are able to contextualize the where and the when, and foreground, background, rule of threes, and tell a story.
Exactly. I mean, for me, I mean, if you look through the middle of those two people there, there are two guys, and the guys just put his head on his partner's shoulder. I mean, he's overcome with excitement and emotion, because all the engines are normally revving at this time. You know, it's everyone's just waiting to go and waiting to kick the day off, and this is it. This is the beginning. So I'm going to switch on. I'm going to go through because I've got quite a few, and I don't want to sort of run out of time. This is a sister, and you know, I know all the sisters. I'm very grateful to be a saint with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence here in the city.
Praise be.
And I just reached out today because I've never found out who this is. I asked Roma if she recognized who this is, and she doesn't have a clue, she said. So she said she's fierce as fuck, but she doesn't know who she is. So she may be she's from another house. So we just don't know who she is, but fabulous. And she was on roller skates whizzing around. And again, the crowd, you've got the Muni sign and all sorts of people in those crowds. It's amazing. So moving on, this is my ducal family. I'm part of many groups of people, the Ducals, the Imperials, the Crew de Kink, and I try to give as much of my time and my photographic skills pro bono, and give my time to help raise money, as well as, you know, being a fabulous photographer. And this is my family. So all these people are still in my life, and they're amazing. And they were getting ready they were waiting to get on their float that year. So that's the Ducal, and the two people in the middle were the Duke and Duchess that year. Then I wanted to highlight some of the Fairy Village. The Fairy Village is just iconic for me. It's one of my favorite places to go. I as a working photographer now, I don't get to spend all day in there like I used to before. You know, when I was a tourist here, I used to come as a tourist. But this is one of my dearest friends. I've gone blank now. Mama Dora. That's Mama Dora as a bride, and he's just the most amazingly talented performer. And you can see how beautiful the Fairy Village is. And it's only for one day a year, like Pride. This is another wonderful performer here. This is Strobe, and inside the Fairy Village we have our own stage shows and productions. So, and what I love about this, it says resistance. If you look on the left-hand side sign, it says resistance is fertile. Nice. Because the fairies believe in just love and life and living and being your unadulterated self. And Strobe is a good example of that. He's a wonderful performer.
Well, it's great. You also have the city hall in the background, and it's very balanced and symmetrical, and yet it's wild, and you know, it's great.
Thank you. Next one is living icons to two of my dearest friends, Vera and Michael, Vera Sphere. They've been doing this for, I think, some 30 years. They now have thousands of people around the world who follow them and dress like them. And all these people normally come to Gay Pride to walk in a parade with them dressed like that.
Yes.
One of my favorite photos of the two of them. And then, let me see, I'm going to just escape that and go to my next file. If you just give me a second, I'm just going to go quickly. If this all works. There we go. So then I've chosen this one because this was 2015, and you know, I was still finding my feet here in the city, finding my niche. I wasn't really trying to sort of create a career for me doing what I've ended up doing. It just happened to me, really. I found my tribe, and this poster really blew me away, that the LGBT Center asked to use this image that I'd taken of one of my sisters, and they turned it into this huge post that was all over town. And it really turned my head. You know, I thought, wow, I think I'm onto something. So this I just adore, a crowd scene, a bit like Jane saying, I'm always looking for people in the crowd. The crowd is so wildly different. You have everybody, all shapes and sizes, ages, colors, creeds, beliefs, straight, gay, everybody, the whole rainbow nation is there, as it should be. And I just love this photo of this beautiful person. So excited to be there. And presenting as female, I'm assuming she's trans. I don't wish to step out or say anything I shouldn't say, but I'm assuming she's trans, and I'm just so happy to see her. Amazing. Am I okay? Am I just?
Oh, this is great. No, I'm great.
I'm sorry, I'm just talking.
No, this is great. This is what I wanted, a lovely slideshow of three prolific photographers who've covered
Great.
Pride. This is great. Keep going.
Thank you. Again, this is in Fairy Village, just to show the diversity of. We have all sorts of people in Pride and all sorts of people who perform. And I just adore this because of the sign that you are fabulous. We are all fabulous, and I think that's the overall message of Pride, is that no matter where you come from or how maybe badly treated you've been, you are fabulous and you deserve to be here, and you are welcome. This is a wonderful photo of some very old Carl with letters and his husband, who's now sadly passed away. And I just adore all of these people in this photo and what they stand for. They're radical fairies and amazing people.
Amazing club. Oh, this is iconic, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Juanita Moore, Miss Juanita Moore, who's
Empress.
Now Empress of San Francisco. This was taken a few years ago, and this was Juanita. This is Juanita Moore's Pride Party, which has become iconic. And the year was a celebration of the recent passing of Gilbert Baker. So hence all of the rainbow flags. The whole party was dedicated to Gilbert. And I saw Juanita up on the stage, and I had a vision of her as Lady Liberty, and I asked her to stand in that pose, and she did it. And it's one of my most favorite photos I've ever taken in my life. And in the high resolution, you can actually look into her mirrored sunglasses and see hundreds of people behind me dancing.
Oh, wow.
And then this is Juanita Moore's Pride Party again. This is the boys arriving to do a performance at around 3 o'clock. Yeah. So these are the show ponies, as we call them.
Yes, quite.
And they'd been hiding out in the Hotel Zeppelin, and then I work with Juanita a lot, so I'm one of her official photographers. I'm also one of the official photographers for Pride, so I get to get behind the scenes and stuff. So,
but you got the whole parade of them walking from the hotel to the club, right? I cherish those photos.
I know, yeah, exactly.
They're quite something. Quite everyone should. Yeah. Okay. Hello. Hi.
So jumping around, I don't want to take everybody's time. Oops, that shouldn't have happened. That's there. So hold on. Just let me.
Great costume.
It couldn't be that good, could it? Something happened. Oh, it is that one. Good.
Another David Glamour costume.
Yeah. So again, yes, Juanita's always dressed by David Glamour.
Who's it's just so funny how you get the moment, the camera and the cell phone and the app. Everyone is looking at her, and she is the center of attention. It's just so funny.
I adore this photo. I call it my Fellini moment, or Juanita's Fellini moment. Actually, the actual image file for this name is called Juanita Fellini. And yeah, the dress is exquisite. She was a bumblebee, if you hadn't guessed.
Oh, I thought it was a butterfly. That's right.
So she, this is during her party, and I adore this photo. Just, I don't know what to say about it. It's boy, boy, girl, boy. African American, black, white, everybody, all just loving life and loving each other.
Whew.
I'm sure you like this one, Jim. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I haven't published it yet. Let's save that.
And then moving on quickly, I don't want to take everybody's time here, but I'm very, very proud to be part of the People's March, which began last year. Created by Alex Ewan and Juanita Moore again. And this is an alternative Pride that a lot of people have been asking for. I adore working for Pride, so don't get me wrong, I don't want to lose my job, but the commercial, a lot of people have are balking against the over-commercialization of Pride. And Alex and Juanita created this morning march that happens before Pride, so they will never clash. When Pride is able to march again next year, the People's March will go hand in hand, and people can. And
it's happening this year.
It is happening this year. It's on this Pride Sunday, and it kicks off at Polk Street, whatever that junction is, Washington.
Okay.
At 10 o'clock in the morning, and that's a wonderful photo of Alex. Just an amazing human being. I love him very much.
Yeah.
And then that's to show you how many people showed up during the middle of a pandemic last year, walking down Polk Street. That's Juanita, Alex, and Mercedes Monroe. And I don't know, 1,000 people behind them. It was impressive.
Big day.
Yeah, everybody wore masks. Everybody, we tried to be as careful as possible because we really were deep in the middle of the pandemic last June, end of June. And then this is when we ended up in Castro. I've had to edit so many photos out, otherwise I've been here for days. But this is one of my favorite photos, and this is, even though it says Black Lives Matter, which it does, it was part of that People's March, and all these young people were on top of this bus, and they were playing the trumpet and singing, and I just adore it. Adore this image. It's so powerful. Everything about it. Oh, and then I'm going to end very quickly. This is my last photo. This was taken just the other night.
Oh my God, you got like Rick Gerhardt and 5 politicians, and
yeah.
Oh,
well, Nancy Pelosi, for goodness sake, showed up as an unexpected guest. So, and who was delightful as always. And I put this in just to bring us up to the minute. Really, this was just taken on Tuesday night.
Oh, and at the Pink Triangle.
Yes, yeah. This is the Pink Triangle on Tuesday, okay. And we have Melora Green there, who's one of the directors of the African American Arts and Culture Complex that London Breed used to be director of, and that's how I know London Breed from that time more than being mayor. And I love it because Rick Gerhardt is in there, it makes me laugh because he's such a lovely man and he's such a wonderful photographer. So, and
y'all can fans can watch his hour-long chat. I should have given you all an hour. I'm so sorry, but Rick's is already archived on our YouTube channel. And he talked about some of his pride images, but also the historic images as well. And thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Gooch.
That's me. I'm out. Thank you. I'm going to stay here. Thank you.
And let me just give everybody else one more, just a little chit chat to say what they feel. Ron, what you're still taking photos? Remind us of the books. You have 2 books as well as your memoir.
Yeah. Well, my latest book is all about Palm Springs pride.
Can you flip it? Show us some of the inside. Just pick a page.
Oh, I see. It's a quality book, actually.
I have a copy. I treasure it. Yeah. Hold it closer to the camera.
If you guys need any advice on publishing,
beefcake. Zoom in on the beefcake.
And then there's the one from San Francisco, which there's one last photograph that I really would like to show, but I can do it. And then I think it's I'm gonna cheat here, and can we do that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's important to me.
Yeah, go ahead and put it up. I'll put it on screen.
Yeah, can you see it?
Oh yeah, the indigenous people.
Yeah. The significance is that was taken back in '89, and so how many years ago was that? We were already telling when Americans were going, love it or leave it. We're going, love it or give it back.
That's pretty
anyway. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful show. Thank you.
I'm gonna try to show more of Jane's photos.
Great.
Give me a moment, and I will. Let me get through a few more. If you want to comment on those, Jane. Let me go to Jim's screen, and I will. This is a commemoration of the Pulse massacre.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which also happened very close to Pride. I was so impressed with this contingent, how they put this together so quickly.
They got all the victims and all the photos and everything. It's very, very, very touching. It's interesting to be part of a Pride. When I was in Pride with ACT UP in New York, we would stop and have die-ins, and people. There's Lance Holman, Mr. Leather. But we would have die-ins and stop the parade, and some people were really mad about it. And I think now that there have been so many other tragedies that have happened since then, that it's kind of accepted that there will be a contingent that will hold still, that will make an unfortunate or unhappy statement, as opposed to this, which is very joyful.
Yeah, we've gotten a little out of order.
I know, so I'm going backwards for the last few. This is Sister, right? Out of Sister Drag. And this is why I had to show this one, Jane, because that's fabulous.
Right.
Do you know what?
the wonderful
I didn't
costumes.
want to talk over you, but Jane, it's so funny seeing some of your photos. I'm on the other side taking similar photo to you. It's so funny. Yeah.
Wilson Cruz and his boyfriend. Hello, hello, hello. Anyway, he was a very nice guy. I interviewed him that year ahead of time. Let me get back to people, and let's do people. There we are. Oh, so what are your goals this year? We're not having an official Pride, but Gooch, you're going to be at Juanita's party.
I'm the official photographer for the People's March.
Oh, okay.
So I will be doing the People's March and then running to Juanita's. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jane, are you Cynthia Laird, our news editor? She's got you assigned for something?
Not right now, but I definitely am going to go to the People's March.
Great.
And stand right next to Gooch.
Yeah.
Up on the bus poster. I thought it started from Dolores Park, but it doesn't. It starts from the Tenderloin.
No, it starts in Polk Street at Washington.
Okay, so that's
The Dyke March starts at Dolores Park.
Oh,
Yeah.
And are any of those still happening?
I don't know. I don't know yet. There's still stuff unfurling, like every day unfolding. Sorry, not unfurling. Every day.
God,
Well, you know, you're in the newspaper business.
I got 75 emails this morning and flagged them all pink. It's like, oh my God, you're opening. Oasis is opening on June 25th. And I'm trying to keep track of it all. We're trying to assign stories and photos for everything.
But can I plug something very quickly, just
Please
to say
do.
what I have got coming up? I have a show at 111 Mina Gallery opening on 25th of June, which is my Pride photos. A big show at 111 Mina. It's actually my birthday, 25th of June. So I am super gay. I was born in Pride. And then at the end of July, we have Folsom Street Events have moved offices. They now have real offices, and they have a new director, Angel. And I'm continuing as the official Folsom Street's event photographer. And at the end of July, we're having a big opening show. So it'll be a retrospective of my Folsom Street and Dory photos. Wow. And then finally, and I'll shut up, is at the very end of July, maybe early August, it's still debatable when it's going to open, is a huge retrospective show at the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts. So it's terrifying because it's a lot of work. It's editing like I've never done before in my life. So it's terrifying.
But also producing prints like you did at the exhibit in the Avenues. Where was that? That
was at Clement Street. That was my first big show. But I don't want to hog all the time here, and I apologize to my fellow photographers. But there's just a lot coming up, and it's exciting. But it's also, and I'm sure they'll understand this. I hope that sometimes you do get stretched in too much as a photographer. There's especially during Pride, there can be too much going on, and I feel that at the moment. But I'm very grateful to be so stressed.
Better that than not. Yeah, well, we're glad you made time to be part of it. Ron, when is Palm Springs have Pride in the fall?
Well, yeah, we have it on the 7th or 6th and 7th. It's a 2-day event, and it's parties, and then the actual thing is on, I believe, the 7th.
In June?
Pardon me?
In June?
No, in November. I'm sorry.
November. It is in the fall.
Yeah, it's too hot down here for Pride.
Right. People
so,
burn. Yes.
It's one of the places you can get away for Halloween and then do Pride too. And it's like it's cool weather here. That's the best time of the year for us down here. But I miss San Francisco, but I'm getting really too old to do a lot of stuff. So I'm just kind of laying back this year. I did a lot last year. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm working on a new book, working on all the unpride stuff like Castro Street Fairs and Folsom.
Ron, where can you get your book? Where can we find your book? Where can I find your books?
Go on Amazon and look for Capturing Our Diversity.
Okay. Or your website.
That's easy to remember.
Your website is Ron-Williams.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, Ron-Williams. Yeah.
I would like to see them and support you.
I will send you copies gratis if you want them.
Wow.
Gooch, your website.
You got one already. Jim got one.
Gooch, your website. Remind us.
My new website through my post-pandemic website is www.photosbygooch.com.
Cool. Excellent.
There's a lot to look at there. And Jane, we're still going to try to find some of your older photos that we made. We didn't save a lot of the photos in our multiple moves the last few years, but I hope you can find time to scan and get some of your vintage photos up too, because they really meant a lot in the 90s, working with the B.A.R. Your photos, Rick's, they really captured an era, and I wish you luck in your work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Jim, thank you so much for putting this together. It was a
yes, Jim, it's a
technological
great
challenge.
treat.
I've dragged you all into the 21st century with social media. We're getting better at it every
Thank
time.
you.
Can I add one last thing, which is the Noe Slow Street closure. So in Castro, it's been going on for about, I don't know, like 6 months now. And they've, instead of the farmers market on Wednesday, on Sunday, outside Cafe Flore and the Lookout, they shut the street and they have local queer artists selling their wares. And I have a little photo booth there. That's really been very helpful through the pandemic to raise some much needed cash.
And this Sunday,
Every Sunday.
But this Sunday, Comfort and Joy is taking over with music, and Brian Busta's.
Oh,
Yeah.
comfort and joy. From
I'll be there.
Morning, man.
I'll still be there selling my wares. So come on down and get some prints.
Yeah, definitely a photographic event, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Thank you all three for participating, and thanks for our viewers. And if you didn't see it, it'll be on YouTube archived later on, and on the Bay Area Reporters Facebook page. Thanks everyone for
Thank you,
viewing.
Jim.
Thank you, Jane.
Bye, good.
Thank you, Jim.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
Ron. Bye, Jane.
Google you later.
Bye.